Hey there, everyone. My name is Adam. Today, my guest is Willem Visor. I hope I'm saying that right, but he owns a large-scale bounce house and party business. So we're just going to get into that. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
All right. So why don't you get into your background a little bit and how you got into doing bounce houses and backyard parties and all the fun stuff?
Yeah. Well, my background is actually civil engineering. I'm a civil engineer from college, and that is how I moved to the U.S. by getting a visa for doing engineering work. In 2009, when the economy tanked, I had to look for something different I'm going to do, and the party rentals was something that I wanted to do. So I did my engineering work plus my party rental business till 2012, and then I changed to do just party rentals. So that's kind of a very short way that I got into the party rentals.
Okay, so this whole channel is focused on someone coming into the business or wanting to start a business, and they don't know how. So someone wants to get into inflatables. Where do they start? What do they buy?
Yes. Well, what I've seen over the years, people get into the business just like I did. You started small, you buy a bounce house, and then you grow from there. So in the beginning is you don't have a lot of money, so you invest in the equipment, the bounce houses, the combos that is easy to do by yourself, and it's not so expensive. And if you're on the south side of the country, you buy water slides. So if you start with it out, you're going to need to buy a couple of those items. The second thing you need to have is insurance, because you have to have insurance. Now, most of us do start without insurance, but my recommendation is to get in these groups and find out who you can use for insurance. So that's the second thing. And most of the time, these people have all trucks, just like I had. I had a truck, so you don't really have to go buy a vehicle, and you use a trailer. And I had a trailer, so I used a trailer to start. And then, obviously, depending on where you're at, you need to have a business license or start an LLC or a DBA. Any of those things that you need to get so you can get started. So it's really a low, this business is a very low barrier to get into the business.
Right. I went to IAAPA, which is a industry kind of event, and talked to a lot of people, and they said, if you can, try to find used for your first few pieces of equipment, used but good, and then eventually start replacing them with newer ones. Do you think that's a good idea?
I would kind of agree with it. The only thing that you need to be very careful is when you get into the industry and you don't know so much about the equipment, you can get taken for a ride. So you just need to be very, very careful when you do that. But the way that I did it, I went new from the beginning. So I paid that extra money. I did pay for the new equipment. But I would agree that if you can find good used equipment, especially in this market right now where there's a lot of people leaving the industry, you probably would pick up good used equipment.
Yeah, do your research. There's a lot of Facebook groups you can join, and people on there will tell you if you send them a picture, like, no, that's not a commercial unit. That's one from Amazon. Like you need commercial units that people are going to be able to, bounce on, like a lot of people. You don't want the at-home ones.
Correct. Yeah. When I started, I did start with non-commercial units. That's a long story, but I didn't know. And after 10 rentals, I had to throw it in the trash. So I started that way and quickly learned that that's not the way to do. And then I found the old Moonwalk forum, and that's how I found about commercial units and bought my first Happy Jump inflatable.
Right. Now they're doing all these steps. They're buying pieces. They're getting their business together legally and insurance wise. But they got to start marketing. Like for like a newer person, what is some marketing ideas and tactics?
For somebody that started, the easiest way, and it does cost money, but it's going to have to be Google AdWords. You're going to have to get Google AdWords. I think that's the easiest way. if you're going to start in the groups and post on Facebook and things, I think you could do that, but you're going to get the low quality customers from those rentals. So I would, if you have the money, I would do Google AdWords. If you don't have the money, you can do it in the groups, but it's definitely two different types of customers that you're going to attract. And it's fine in the beginning. I mean, in the beginning used Craigslist, and I didn't get the best customers there, but that's how we started. So that is
right. No, I agree with you. When you get customers off of Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, yeah, they're the customers who aren't the best and they want the cheapest. Off of Google AdWords, and Google AdWords doesn't have to be that expensive. You can, it's called bidding or whatever. You can set a max price and stuff, and that gets you the customers who are out there looking for your party stuff. When they type it in, then that's where you spend your money. Don't spend money on radio ads and stuff, because that's too large of a net you're casting. You just want to spend the money on when the people are looking for your product. You're there to answer the phone.
Yep, and Google AdWords is the way to do it, for sure.
Right. All right, for someone who does not know bounce houses at all, what does their typical day look like when they're going to go out and deliver these?
Well, in the beginning, I would think most people would do it by themselves. So the days are long, depending on how many equipment you have. But from the beginning, really, your days become very long. So you could either load your trucks the day before or the morning off. Especially if you still have a job, you're probably going to do it Friday night or Saturday morning. And you need to be ready for a long day, Saturday and Sunday. And when you get into the summer and you have water slides, those days getting very, very long. And it gets longer till you get somebody that can work for you, but you're going to have to build up with it. But I can remember in the beginning, when I made the deliveries, the days were very, very long, and it's still long today. But when we work, in the beginning, you have to get used to those long days and just break through it.
Right, because I'm in some of the bounce house groups, and I notice a lot of people, they deliver them that morning and then pick them up later that day, which is a perfect business if you have a normal job during the week. You can do this all on the weekend. Now, there's some companies I do see that say they're dropping off Friday and picking up the day after. It seems like the majority of people do it the same day. Is that what you do?
Yeah, we do a combination of the two. We have a lot of inflatables, so I don't know. We have 500, 600, 700 inflatables. So there's a combination of it. We can't always deliver the same day and pick up the same day. We deliver sometimes the day before for the next day and pick it up that night or the next day. It just depends. But when we were smaller, we tend to deliver it the morning, pick it up in the evening. And way back in the beginning, we tried to flip it on Sunday.
Right.
And so that's very hard. But we did that in the beginning. We don't do that anymore so much. I don't like to flip them. So because we just have enough inventory. There's certain parts of the year that we struggle to not have enough equipment because it's all out. But the other weekends, we have enough inventory that we don't have to flip them.
Right. I have a party rental business doing tents, and same thing in the beginning. I would flip things. I would set something up on Friday and then take it down Sunday morning and then put it right back up. But then as you grow and you have more inventory and more opportunity, you can say no to those things. But in the beginning, it was very helpful. It allowed me to get quite a bit of money rolling in, but then it wears you out.
Yes. No,
so the people coming into this world, they don't know what these are. There's a single bounce house, there's the combo, there's the wet, dry. What should people spend their money on to get the most out of their investment? What kind of units should they get? And I'll throw up pictures of each one he mentions.
Yeah. Well, the standard is kind of a bounce house. That's where you start. Bounce house, combo, water slides, and then you get more into your interactives and later on into, if you do mechanical rides. But in general, it's the bounce house, the combo, and the water slides. And it really depends on what part of the country you are. If you're in the northern part of the country, you're not going to buy a lot of water slides. If you're in Florida or Texas or even California, you're going to have enough water slides. So it just depends on what part of the country you are. What I would suggest is when you get into it, you need to study your competition and see what do they have. If they have a lot of water slides, you get a lot of water slides. If they have a lot of combos, you get a lot of combos. So you need to study your competition, and from there you need to decide what you're going to buy. So just to give a flat out, this is what you need to start with. I don't believe in that. You really need to look at where you're at and what part of the country, and then and even if you're in Texas or in Florida or Illinois or whatever, it depends on what part of that state you are, because you might be in a small city. You're going to buy different stuff than when you're in a bigger city. So study your competition.
That's some good advice. I was talking to a guy who does a lot of where he is. People have very, very small backyards. So he didn't want to get big water slides and stuff. So he got 10 by 10s and 12 by 12s, 13 by 13 bounce houses and makes a lot of money off that. If you were in a rural area, I guess with people with backyards, you'd want to go a little bit of a different route.
Correct. Yeah. So that's not a one answer fits everybody. It's not like that.
Right. Now, you mentioned the interactives and the mechanical things. Is that something you want to add right away, or is that something you want to feel your market out on? Or once you've kind of maximized renting out your other stuff, like your normal bounce house, your combos, and your slides, is that something you add? Like, where along the lines would you want to get? I don't know how to describe them. Like obstacle courses and things. There's a bungee thing where one person runs one way and one person runs another.
Yeah, I would say for the first year or two, you should not really get into those things. And if there are afterwards, you need to really decide in which direction you want to go with your business. When you add those things, and especially when it gets to the mechanical rides and doing the bigger events, you need to have the right people to do that. So that it's not always the right answer for everybody. So you need to, in my opinion, make it simple and easy and stay with those things. And for the first 3-4 years, I focused around that, and I did not have the other stuff. And that's how I could grow so fast. We went from zero. We did the first year $37,000. In my fifth year, we hit $1 million within 5 years. In 2020, we were on the Inc. 5000 for our company, but we did way more than $1 million. But and that's what we did. We focused on something simple, easy to do, and did not get into any of the other stuff that people say you need to get into. You need to get into that, because it takes a lot more to get those events and do it properly.
Right. That's good advice. I found that if you focus in a smaller sector, it's really easy to get distracted and be like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. I want this. That's what I did in my party tent rental business. I started getting fancier things and all these other things. And then I started noticing they're not going out that much. Yeah. So I sold them off and bought more of just the core basic stuff that was, bringing in the most money for me. And it's been more successful than being all over the place.
Exactly. And what I notice is people like to buy stuff for in October that's just for Halloween. They like to buy the Christmas stuff. And then for 9, 10, 11 months in the year, it's in the warehouse, and they could have taken that money and spent it on another bounce house or whatever that would have made a lot of money. But unfortunately, in this industry, that's what a lot of people do. Their success is how many units they have, and that's really not the benchmark of success. So, and that's something that I see people do.
Right. I just want to go back to the delivery method to begin with, because you can just start with almost nothing. Like I know a guy who started with just an SUV, and he would deliver one unit at a time, just a pickup truck. Some people have pickup trucks with trailers, and depending on where you're at, you can just have an open trailer or enclosed. Like you can start with any sort of vehicle.
Correct, and that's true. I mean, we started with my old construction truck and a construction trailer. I've never really used enclosed trailers. It was always open, and for the first 5 years, even up to $1 million, I didn't own box trucks or many pickup trucks. I had 3 pickup trucks and trailers, and I would rent in vehicles when we were busy, when we got closer to the $1 million. So that's what we did, and that was the cheapest way to do it. So for bulk of the year, I had the 3 pickup trucks with the trailers, and then April, May, I would rent in trucks from Penske at the time. And then October, I would rent in trucks from Penske. And I did, that was my strategy till I got to $1 million.
Nice. Now, I'm assuming you have a nice, amazing warehouse now, but in the beginning, people can start at their garage or a shed or a storage unit.
Yep. No, that's exactly what we did. We started out of the garage, and there was in the beginning 1 inflatable. In the first year there was 7. At the end of the second year there was like 20. We had like 20, 22. We worked out of the warehouse, and then we moved into out of the garage. And then we moved into a warehouse. I can't remember how big it was, but it was very small. And then our really move was into a 5,000 square foot warehouse. And I think that was around our 4th year that we moved into that warehouse. But before that, we had storage units that we used too. But our 5,000 square foot warehouse was that year when we got to $1 million.
Right. Yeah. I have a friend in my area who does bounce houses, and he started out of his garage. Then he bought a shed to put on his property. Then he bought or rented 2 storage units. So that's his progression. He hasn't gotten to the warehouse stage yet, but
yeah,
that seems like it's pretty easy progression. And once you start making money, then you can get the nice warehouse, but you don't have to get it right away. Garage, shed, storage units.
Yep. No, I mean, that's what we did. I mean, if I have the money today, I would probably not do this business, but that's how I started, and I had to do it at the time. So that was our progression.
Right. All right. Last question. Try to help viewers out. What's one mistake that you learned, one lesson that you learned that you could tell them that they can avoid?
I think the biggest mistake, I didn't make it so much because I was very aware of it, and I'm very, I'm going to give you 2 things. The one thing that I think most people do wrong is they don't understand their financials. They don't have any financials, or they use these software that help them to book stuff online, and so they think that is financials, that you can make decisions on that. Because of my engineering background, I always from day one did my financials and made sure that when I buy my equipment that I use my numbers to buy the equipment. The second thing that I noticed that people do wrong that I obviously avoided was they buy too much equipment that they make money and they buy equipment and they don't really have utilization for that over the year. I mean, it goes out, but they could have had half of that equipment and still made the same money. And so those are the 2 things that I think in general that people struggle with and that I avoided from the beginning.
Okay, perfect. Well, Willem, thank you very much for coming on. And I'll see you around on the Facebook groups.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thanks.